Good morning, gentlemen. Right? I mean, we are the team from the section B from L4. I'm Prasanna along with my team members for today, and our topic is how has globalization impacted corporate profits in the UK since 1991. So we have the introduction part, which I'll be doing the introduction part. So why has it really affected the breweries since 1991? The globalization on corporate profits is our question, the research question that we made. So through this research, we aim to access on how the globalization has really impacted the world and also in the UK's industry. And our question is, has the corporate profits for breweries increased since 1991? So we have also selected this topic because alcohol is one of the largest industries and is rapidly growing and is very global, and it is one of the UK's largest markets, the alcohol industry. So UK's alcohol industry. So 2004 registered companies are there, the distilleries, and they have 2,004,684 licensed premises where they sell their alcohols from. That means a lot of reach out is being done to the people who come in and buy alcohols. Reason why it is also one of the rapidly growing industries, and people come in and it's spreading globally. Slowly, but it's increasing. According to WSTA, Wine and Spirits Trade Association, 26 million people drink regularly the alcohol products in the distilleries in UK, and 42% of the sale values it accounts for the restaurant which comes from alcohol. And also 1.1 million people are employed because of alcohol, because there is a lot of jobs in UK, but most of the people would prefer the alcohol industry because it gives them better wages. And likewise, we have under the alcohol industry, we've chose the beer industry here, because beer industry has undergone massive consolidation, because it has 50% of global volume, which is constantly increased, and it is controlled by top 4 companies of 2014 and is opposed to 10 brewers in 2004. Right? So it has grown significantly, because past 2 decades it has given a really good rise in the global industries as well, because the production from 1.3 billion hectoliters, that's 34.3 billion US gallons in 1998, to 1.96 billion hectoliters, that's 51.8 billion US dollars, which rose in 2014. And in 2015, the profits estimated were 522.6 billion US dollars from global beer sales. And that is pretty much amazing. So we're also talking about the beer industry, and now why beer industry is significantly the most amazing part of UK is also because a lot of youngsters and a lot of people in UK really love drinking beer. Do you guys love drinking beer? Yes, some of you guys do. Likewise, in UK, people love drinking beer. So that's rapidly becoming an amazing industry from where globalization is slowly trending upwards. And some of the major players in the UK beer game are Carling, Foster and Guinness, London Pride, Honeydew and Home Fister. Some of you guys have tried, maybe I have tried some of it, like Foster, right? So the British distilleries, we're still talking about it. It rose from 10% to 35%, contributing in successful UK brewery industry without the opportunity gained from globalization. And it is slowly growing because it shifted from the local market, and people worldwide over the world really like the local taste of the UK's craft beer. Reason why people are really ordering it, and the export rates are going up. Increasing globalization taking place slowly like that. And the research that we've undertaken for this project is we've constructed this research using mostly secondary data, as various journal articles, and also some information present in the company's website. And the data used is quantitative to measure the changes and relationship between the variables. Thank you.
The methods undertaken for the research of this information were secondary quantitative data. The sources that were used for this report were journal articles, annual reports, company websites, and the official government website. To ensure the validity of this report, we looked into journals, and they were all peer-to-peer reviewed. We even looked into past GDP per capita income, and the employment rates, and they were very accurate to the actual figures. Why quantitative? Quantitative research, in order to see the current profit of the scenario of brewery companies, it was very important for us to analyze the key figures that analyzes the profits of the companies. Thus, quantitative research was taken. Quantitative research methods were used because it takes statistical data into account.
Now talking about literature review. According to Scherzer, globalization is a phenomenon that is referred to as the process of intensifying of relation from social to political between distinct locations, which is facilitated by reduction in the trade barriers and advancement in technology. For firms, globalization is expanding their business operations to other nations. Firms look to take advantage of opportunities in the global scale that can include increasing customers and reducing expenses. According to Gordon and Huntsman, claims that a large part of corporate profits represent the returns to entrepreneur labor that are retained in the firm and realized as dividends or capital gains. These two are the main topic: globalization and corporate profits. These two have a relation between. There is a relation between globalization and corporate profits, but it is not clear. It can be both negative and positive, depending on the efficiency of the firm. From this literature review, we derive that there is one major factor of globalization that causes two different relationships between globalization and profits. The main factor of globalization is increasing competition. Due to the increased competition, these industries that are the most efficient can capitalize on the prospect presented by globalization. By doing so, they can expand their customer base and create an international brand image, causing an increase in demand, making the price inelastic, which also allows firms to increase revenue, hence providing profit. Those companies that cannot do so would either have to shut down or form an alliance. Now, the following discussion is going to point out both of how inefficiency affects organization and how effective organization that understands global demand can capitalize on these opportunities.
As Melissa said, that we'll be discussing two different aspects. So my part of the discussion is going to talk about the inefficiency of breweries in the UK. So what we see is that by UK Quarterly Beer Barometer, what we see is the demand for beer in the UK has actually been falling. It was from 2000 to 2015. In 2000, there were 145 million barrels. 145 million barrels that were demanded annually, whereas by 2015 what we see is that fallen down to 108 million barrels, and there's been an annual decrease rate of these the demand of beer has been 2.5%. So however, though the information is not given here, we were not able to place that data. We see that there's actually an increase in the imports of beer in the UK. While in 2003, there were only 58 million barrels that were imported. However, in 2015, out of the 108 million barrels, 81 million barrels were actually imported in the UK from either from Europe, from America, or other parts of the nation. Okay, so. From this also, there is one more statistics which shows that from the top 10 beers that are actually drunk in the UK, only one of the top 10 beers is actually produced in UK, and that is Carling itself. So what we see is that there's a trend of British citizens actually preferring to drink international beer rather than their own domestic product. Okay, and also. And this one primary statistic is that only 14.8% of all the breweries that are present in the UK currently export their products internationally, and that too only to a limited market of the European Union or America. So what we see is that British breweries, at least the large-scale ones, have not been able to capitalize on globalization. One, they have not been able to compete with the international competition of imports, according to this data, and also they have not been able to sell their products outside. As you can see, only 14.8% of the beer beer have been 14.8% of the breweries are exporting their beer. So in turn, what we come to a conclusion from by seeing these figures is that the total sales of beer has actually fallen of those of domestically produced beer. So they because of this fall of sales, they have not been able to increase their profits. So because they have not been able to compete, as Melissa said, the main factor that we took in this literature review was competition. Because breweries have not been able to compete in that international level, they have not been able to capitalize on globalization and hence reducing their corporate profits. Also, another important statistic is that out of all the breweries in the UK, from 2007, 105 breweries have shut down. There have been 50 mergers of breweries and 127 acquisitions by international companies of UK beers. Now, Sabal will...
While the large-scale companies are facing tremendous pressure from international companies and finding the way to escape from the market through acquisition and mergers, small-scale companies depict a totally different picture. They are, on the other hand, rising and being successful. They are also rising the UK brewery, the market of UK brewery as a whole. Because of the small-scale industry, the reason they are so successful is they have capitalized on the opportunities presented to them through globalization. One of the key opportunities presented to them is craft beer. Craft beer is not the product of UK market entirely. It was first created in US, brought to UK, which was imitated and further modified and further perfected by the local UK breweries, and which went on to capitalize market. Because of this, UK market as a whole is in rise. UK is now the fourth largest exporter of the product. It has now 170 distilleries in 2015 alone, which is a much bigger achievement. And most newspapers are now terming the recent success of UK brewery as a golden age for UK brewery industry as a whole. So we can take an example of Brewdog, which is a premium craft beer producer in UK, which has been achieving a tremendous success after being globalized. Further, the success of it is not only because they have expanded their product mix, but also because the global trend of consumers are also shifting towards craft beer. Today, the Food and Drink Analyst has presented a forecast that about 79%, there is a 79% rise in the market of craft beers. While they have also said that the spending of consumers towards the craft beer is going to rise by $3.9 billion while reaching 2016. This shows that those companies that focus on quality entirely and look to satisfy the consumer rather than the accountants are the ones who are being most successful. And globalization is not about reducing price to attract consumer, but enhancing quality so that they can satisfy greater customer base is what the recent success of small-scale company has shown to us, which can also be shown through this chart, which clearly depicts the Brewdog's profit ranging. Thus, we can analyze from these two discussions that large-scale companies that are depending upon mergers and acquisition to reduce their prices and attract consumers are failing miserably, while those consumers that truly look to those companies that truly look to satisfy the consumer, enhance the product, and provide quality products are succeeding. That's the impact that globalization has on the companies, which has in turn shown in their profit, which we have presented through the discussion. Thank you.